So now I will speak in English for them. I realized an interview with Esther Dyson on 8th of September this year. It was more than 30 minutes, so I will project here only 15 minutes. But it was very interesting. Esther Dyson was the lady who was behind the new infrastructures development in America when Al Gore was the vice president. She worked in the National Advisory Council. She was founder and the first director of the second, because of the econ. And she is an investor, always she was an investor. She's a journalist at the basis. And I will present you some part of this interview which is referring to social networks and what's happening today. I want to ask you, because this conference is organized by some ISPs, by the Association of Romanian ISPs, and also from ISOC Romania, which is a user part, Internet Society Romania. What is your perception about companies providing today the internet services, like ISPs, content delivery networks, and exchanges? To include also here the GSM and everything which makes possible the portability of Internet of Things, and all telemedicine, teleworking. What is your perception about?
My perception of them is, honestly, now the interest is much more towards a higher level. The interest now is towards a much higher layer. The content, the social networks.
Sure.
All the applications and content that moves across them. It's, it needs to work, but the actual connectivity is considered more of a commodity, fast or slow.
But it's very important.
It is very important, but people...
Nobody sees it, but it's very important. It's on the basis of everything.
Well, it's like the water supply, it's like the train system, it's fundamental, but it's not, it's a different business.
Okay. But I want to tell you something. Let's refer a little bit to the social networks.
Okay.
Facebook and this. I have 2,000 plugs for students in a place. Our company maintains this. And sometimes chatting on Facebook, they don't realize that the internet is not working, or the plug, the electricity is not working. And I have some scripts in their chat room to tell me what is the issue. And then they send me a SMS on an old telephone. Say, go and send the supervisor to start the power at the floor number 7. This is not bad, because they don't realize where they are and how it's working. People from the social network, young people.
Yeah. I mean, this is the way the world works. People make things accessible, and then, quote, normal people don't really understand how they work. They don't know about plugging things in. They don't know about, the reality is also they don't know about the security that keeps them secure, or that does not keep them secure. They become susceptible to security breaches, to misinformation, to all kinds of stuff. And so, in a sense, in a world of social networks, in a world of misinformation, it's important to be much more aware of those kinds of breaches than of just the physical ones, and to reduce your vulnerability, not so much with VPNs, but kind of with common sense that says, does this make sense? Should I believe it? Who's sending it to me? And in a sense, you need to be aware both of your own motivations so that you're not manipulated by social network, whether it's politically or to spend money you can't afford.
Huge discussions about this,
Yeah. And you also need to understand not just your own metabolism and how you get seduced, but you need to understand how these companies are focused on making money rather than delivering good content. Or, it's important to understand much less quote, the motivations of AI, but the motivations of the people now using the AI to try and manipulate the people using all these amazing things that the internet brings to us.
What is your opinion about property on internet? Because in the past you were proprietary of your own data. Now it's not exactly the same because you have to use one of the 5 big platforms.
I think the notion of owning data is.
I refer here to Steve Berners-Lee project with the Solid, for example. Solid project.
I guess what I'm trying to say is something more different and more fundamental. You can't really own data. Once it's out, it's out. But what you've got is the ability to control it. I mean, NFTs in many ways have been sort of a failure, but the notion of a contract that's not I own or I don't own, but I have these rights, I assign these other rights, an NFT that would be updated with provenance information. It's more about the transparency in the contracts, which are complicated, than the simple notion of owning, because there can be 5 pieces of data which in themselves mean nothing, but when you put them together, suddenly they mean something. And so it's much more complicated than binary, I own it or I don't own it, because I perhaps delegate certain rights, control other rights, and we need better, it's like supply chain transparency. We need that around data.
What is your feeling about business generated by social networks, and how involved are you involved still in this?
How am I involved?
I like investor, of course. In this today.
Yeah.
In
So
defense, I know.
I have some investments in various of these things. I had a fair amount of Facebook that I sold a few years ago near the top, I'm happy to say, or actually donated to my Wellville project, which is my full-time job right now. But I think most social networks have become, put it this way, they started out with very nice DNA, but they started out with very nice DNA, but their metabolism overtook their DNA, and so they're now run by this insatiable need for more money. So they manipulate their users in a way that makes the users regret using them. And that's what a bad decision is. It's not one that turned out badly, but it's one that you knew you shouldn't make, but you made it anyway, and it turned out badly.
Yeah, but this cannot be reversed easily.
No, but that still doesn't mean I can say it.
Yeah, things are going forward, not backward. Yeah. And
so the solution to that is much more educating people to be less vulnerable to these social networks, to have, strong self-awareness, to be secure and not susceptible to being addicted, whether it's to social networks or to drugs or, power, whatever. And these algorithms that the companies use, whether they're quote AI or just statistics, are very clever at discovering people's vulnerabilities and manipulating them and making money from their data, charging them for things they don't really want, sending them places they don't really want to go. It's something we need to, like a pandemic, we need to develop immunity to it rather than think we can eliminate it.
Oh. What about these new trends with OpenAI and ChatGPT and the usage of this? Because my guys are using intensely this.
Yeah,
to write some pieces of code and then to complete and to correct, and that's all.
It's great stuff. And even as we use more AI, we need to train people how to use it, but we also need to train people to be better humans, not better users of computers. And that's you know, that starts in childhood. It starts with good parents. It starts with, again, this self-awareness of what is it that makes me human? What am I vulnerable to? How can I make myself more likely to do what I want to do rather than be distracted by all this computer stuff around me?
Yeah, when I talk with young students and this, I explain them that artificial intelligence was in the 80s on the PDPs we are using, but now the data is larger and the speed and the quantity of data. So that's the main issue, and this is possible only through the internet.
Yeah, I mean, AI is, in a sense, it's what we don't quite understand yet. And it used to be just simple logic and statistics. And now it's much more emergent capabilities that, one thing, so people live at a rate. The movie Her is one of the most wonderful movies because it's a man and an AI, and the man falls in love with the AI. And the AI has, I think, 1,500 lovers. And because she operates at a pace so far beyond the pace of the man, it's really, it's about a mismatch of timescales. And, you know, he's much richer. He's a human. He's emotional. He's sentient. And she can just do a lot more in less time. But there's the biggest gulf between them is that time scale. And you're right. I mean, the AIs do stuff at tremendous speed, but they still, and, you know, at some point, it's not that I don't think an electronic thing can somehow transform itself, but that's still going to take a while. We are still chemistry and biology, and we're just much slower, and at the same time much deeper.
Yeah.
We have to stop here because of the schedule. The interview is 36 or 40 minutes. I'll put on the web and you can watch it later completely. It's about founding of ICANN and some other opinions.